Hello, awakened souls and star people. Thank you so much for joining me for Ascend the Matrix podcast. I'm your host, Chrys Kyng. I'm a shamanic healer, creator of the Medicine Alchemist and Mycro-Dos, a line of 5 high performance microdosing blends. I'm the creator of Ascended Astrology, which is the astrology that glitches the matrix and taps you into your highest purpose and out of this hell realm that we're in, as they say. And also, I am a psychic business mentor. My passion is helping light workers, mystics, healers create brands that align with their soul mission and create businesses that allow you to leave the 9 to 5 loop and devote yourself to your soul mission full time. And I'm so excited to welcome a mentor of mine, a very good friend and soul sister, Jessica Tanselle, also known as Cha Cha. That's what I also like to call her, or Cha Cha Mama, as she is a beautiful embodiment of the Pachamama archetype. And she's a revered medicine woman and shamanic healer with years of experience in guiding spiritual awakenings and medicine experiences. She has held space for me as well several times. She creates sacred spaces for individuals and groups to heal, release trauma, and unlock their fullest potential. And she specializes in plant medicine, ceremonial cacao, conscious breath work, channeling, and many shamanic practices. Cha Cha facilitates profound transformations by helping others clear energetic blockages, reconnect with their intuition, and align with their soul. Thank you so much, Jessica slash Cha Cha slash Pachamama. Thank you, and guide and teacher of mine. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you here. And tell the audience all about yourself.
Well, it's an honor to be here. I always enjoy my time with Chris. And wow, along this path, my path has changed over the many years that I've been doing spiritual work. And in my work now, I'm really leading weekly breath work at a yoga studio. I lead monthly cacao ceremonies, and I also lead quarterly retreats with deep medicine work. I also work with people one-on-one to bring in breath work, to bring in ceremony, to bring in transformation. And it's really an honor to hold space and be a part of other people's journey and their awakening and have a safe space for them to
Yeah.
become one with themselves, which is what we're all doing, really. I feel like my work is helping us all to come back home to ourselves, back home to our hearts, and really embody our higher selves in this earthly realm so that we can enjoy life, right? Yeah.
I keep hearing the song Pachamama. I'm home. I
Mm.
love the energy that you bring into the space and the spaces that you hold. And just so everyone who's listening understands the connection here, Jessica slash Cha Cha, we go way back. When I met Cha Cha, it was Cha Cha. That's what everyone called you back then. We are around 12 years apart. You're the same age as my older sister Kelly, and you came into my life right after I graduated high school, and we went to the same performing arts high school, and we both have a lot of psychic placements in our astrological chart, but a lot of Leo energies. So we're very similar in many ways. And then also, our mothers were born in the same hospital on the same day in the same city. December 15th, 1958. So there was obviously some kind of soul contract because we began as actors doing plays. You were a very successful dental hygienist and doing theater, and I was just getting out and being an adult. And I didn't go to college with all of my other friends from the youth performing arts school. They all went off to college somewhere, and I didn't. I wasn't rich like them, and I also something told me not to go, and I really struggled with that. But then I was doing theater, and then I found this group of people, like Ron and many other people who came into my life, and you were one of them. And of course, as life happens, we sort of lost our connection a little bit. We went our own ways, and then when Prince passed away in 2016, we found each other again at a club, dancing to Prince. And just like 3 years, 2 or 3 years after that, 2 years after that, I had my Kundalini awakening. And in 2018, I remember seeing you post online about I'm a psychic medium, I do mediumship work and all this. And I remember thinking, when did that happen? And also, I was a little jealous because I was like, I
Oh,
always wanted to be a medium. I was obsessed with
mm,
Long Island Medium and John Edwards and Lisa Williams. And I was like, how come she gets to be a medium? I remember saying that to myself. And then I realized I was one as well after I went through my awakening. And I reached out to you and I said, I think we need to connect because how weird is it that I'm being pulled into this work and you're also doing it and the connection and history that we have? And we both, around that same time, were already, I was working with medicines back when I was 20 years old, but we were really starting to work with medicine and our healing process in a very specific way. And we both came into medicine um, at similar times and helped each other. And you definitely helped me in my medicine work as a mentor. And also, we've journeyed together. We've been to retreats together as participants and held space for each other that way as well. So I've loved seeing your journey, no pun intended,
mm.
and how you've come to this point. But tell the audience a little bit about your story. If they go back on this podcast, there's another episode with you where we cover some of this, but I want to cover it again because your
Sure.
journey is much more evolved now. So I want you to take us back to kind of the beginning where all this started for you and how it evolved into shamanism and medicine work in this way.
I would be so glad to. It's wild to think my journey really started in 2009 when I started having experiences with spirit. And it was about 8 months before my mom passed that I was hearing spirit in my ear. I was taking a shower. I heard, Jessica, tell your mom I love her, and I'm sorry I wasn't there for her. And I thought immediately, I was like, why would I talk to myself that way in my mind while I'm taking a shower? And then I knew who it was and what had happened. And I was able to deliver this healing message for my mom 8 months before she passed tragically. There was a lot that happened around that time, a lot of scary experiences where spirit was trying to awaken me, but I was in a toxic relationship. I was around a lot of alcohol and drugs. I was working a lot. I really was really in a lot of trauma. And so I really pushed that away because I didn't understand it. And in 2015, just about a year after my dad had passed, I wanted to see a medium. And the one that I normally go to, I wasn't able to get in contact with. And I ended up finding a friend that I had known since childhood who was a medium, which I thought the same thing. Whoa, she's a medium. I had no idea. And so I went to see her and immediately shared my experience. And as a medium should, oh, don't tell me anymore, right? Don't tell me anything else. Let me get it from spirit. Well, through that, I learned that I was a medium. And so all of 2016, I studied with mediums in Louisville, in New York, in England to really understand my gifts. During that year, I was also studied Reiki, got my Reiki master certificate, studied shamanism with teachers. So I took this year to really understand my gifts. At the same time, I was already offering readings and finding great success offering readings, which was for me as a new medium and a new psychic surprising because it was still new to me and I was still understanding it. And so for many years, I was doing the medium work and I was also working full time as a dental hygienist, and when I got into I think 2018. So you were going through your awakening,
Yes.
and I was going through this period of deep depression, a lot of anxiety, very moody, taking everything personal. So I was sitting in a lot of emotion, and I just felt stuck. Everything was going really well in my life, had a great partner, wonderful home, rolling well with my work, and I just was so unhappy and miserable. And I started finding podcasts, seeing things online about plant medicine. And I knew I needed it. I knew that that was what I needed to heal because I'd tried therapy, I'd tried medicines, I'd been doing healing work with Reiki, and it really wasn't finding success in my healing. And so I tried this person and then I tried this person and it didn't line up because, well, divine timing. And also, you should be drawn and feel really connected to the person that you're meant to work with. And so eventually, a friend of mine was like, hey, I'm having a teacher come in and we're going to have a medicine ceremony. I was, yes, immediate yes. And so I went to this ceremony. Mind you, before I had met the teacher, I had an acquaintance of mine that was going as well. We were only acquaintances, but ooh, we were driving buddies and we went. And that night, I had never felt so free and so connected at the same time. And I knew I was like, my clients need this.
Yeah.
Like, I feel incredible. And mind you, at the end of the night, I remember like starting to feel a little weepy, not understanding why. It was my first journey, and then going to sleep and then integrating the process. And just a few months later, I was co-hosting retreats. I was studying by learning the medicine, by being in the medicine, and also co-hosting retreats with my teacher. And so along that way, a few years after working side by side with my teacher, I went into leading ceremonies on my own. I love leading goddess ceremonies. I love co-ed ceremonies too, but there's really something about coming together in community, whether it be women, so that we can really uplift and empower each other and see that we are family. We need love and support. There is no competition, it's pure love. And also in these co-ed spaces, bringing people together to see that for men, seeing a safe feminine, for women seeing a safe masculine, and then all around seeing the safety in both the feminine and the masculine that some of us have not experienced or seen.
Yeah.
And so through leading retreats and going on my own journey, it opened up my world. Actually, I should say this, it tore down my world.
Yeah.
It tore it down and I was real confused. Um, Working with plant medicine, let me just take it back to when we were really connected. You were really stepping into your mediumship, and I was on my bed in tears. Like we're both crying, and going through our things
Yeah.
and supporting each other, which Chrys is a wonderful support system, a wonderful facilitator, a wonderful psychic and medium, and has supported me as well on my journey.
Thank
And
you.
so, thank you. So I'm going through this period where actually I had journeyed so much, and I really wasn't aware of what all that journeying could do, and I was stuck in a deep healing phase of
Yeah,
like
I
that
remember.
young. It was 8 to 13 years old,
Yeah.
and if you can imagine being your 8 to 13 year old self for 3 months, it was rough.
Yeah.
So I came out of that, and people around me started to shift
Mm.
and shift in ways that I didn't like because I was resistant. It made it more difficult. So
Right.
once I got with it and was like, okay, I allow what is meant for my path because I knew that my work was meant to hold space for people in their deep healing processes. And so I went through that process. People started falling away. My world tore down, which was so confusing for me. I didn't understand. If this is what I'm meant to do, why? And as it tore down, as I had to move, as work changed, as my lifestyle changed again, I trusted. I was like, I know that this is happening for me, not to me. This is happening to put me on the path that is for my highest and best good. I know that as we grow, as we change, as we become one with ourselves and truly understand ourselves, are truly in right relationship with ourselves and with others and with the things in our life, that we are expanding and on a path for the highest and best good. And I knew that I was doing that. So I knew that this teardown was for something really good.
Mhm.
And I've had to be in this cocoon while also letting my work expand, while learning more and expanding and healing and trusting and watching the unfolding of our own lives. Because once we do so much healing work, mind you, you don't see it all. You can be the best psychic in the world, but usually there are things that you just are not meant to have for yourself. So it is a trust game with spirit, but also a trust game with myself. And here I am trusting the path every day
Yeah.
as it continues to unfold.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And, you know, going back to the times where you talked about being in your 8 to 13-year-old self for 3 months, would you say that it was due to a lack of integration? Like we had too much medicine, not enough integration. There was an imbalance.
Sure, I feel a couple things. One, I feel that journeying too much. I feel like it's important to integrate,
What
and
was
that's
too
part of the
much?
journeying.
Were you doing it
Really,
every couple of months?
every month or every couple months is too much. So if you're doing it every week or every other week is way too much because you're allowing your expansion of your consciousness. And when you expand your consciousness, yes, there are beautiful things that come with it, but also there are things that come with it that are difficult.
Yeah.
The shadow sides of our parts, the shadow sides of our lives. And so the how often and the integration, because how often you're doing it allows you the integration period between doing that again. Because this process is a pre-journey process. The medicine experience is just 50% of it,
Yeah.
if that. Some people
Right.
say if that, right? And then there's the post process. So the post process, depending on what you've just experienced, what medicine you're using, could be 6 to 12 weeks.
Right.
I tell some people, and if it's a real, real big one, then maybe it's 6 months, but that 6 to 8 weeks, you're still really in your journey. Now
Yeah.
you're functioning, you're going to work, you're doing the thing. And also, you have this opportunity for memory recall, emotions to a release, getting to know parts of yourself and learning those, integrating those into your life so that that 8 to 12 week, you're finally stable, you're stabilizing, and then you can go back into a pre-journey period again if you're ready to do plant medicine.
Yeah.
The integration's so important
Oh my God. Psychedelic
because
integration. I tell people it, it's kind of like 80% of your results when you're wanting to build muscle, lose weight, whatever the case may be. 80% is from diet, 20% is going to the gym. And people don't want to hear that because they would rather go to the gym every single day and eat whatever they want, just like they would love to go have medicine journeys all the time and then not think about it later, not talk about it later. And the integration part is the most important because it's like surgery. Like the most important part of your surgery is how you handle it after, you know,
yeah,
how you sleep on it, how you nourish yourself, how you rest so that the healing can take place. It's like going for even a cosmetic surgery that takes a couple different surgeries to complete, kind of like some of these nose jobs. There's the first nose and then the second nose. And it's like going back for the second surgery before the first one is even healed, which is not
absolutely.
beneficial to us. So I really want to talk about a psychedelic integration because in my experience, I've had many clients resistant to it, not understand it. They think it's just talk therapy. Like I came and I saw colors and eyeballs and sacred geometry, and I don't know why we're having this session. It's not been many, but it's been a few, and the general consensus is you can tell that's everyone's least favorite part, which means it's the most important, which means they have to sit there and go into their shit without a medicine spirit forcing them to, making them
Mhm.
surrender to it. They've got to choose it. And a lot of times their ego doesn't want to choose that. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't want to dive deep into this. I just want to come and have the magical experience because many people are using plant medicine as a drug or an escape. They're
Mhm.
coming into retreat spaces and they're there because they hate their life or they don't think it's magical and they're wanting something magical to happen. And it definitely does, but then it can create an addiction to plant medicine. Not that they're addictive, but it can create this addiction to constantly going into this, just like people on Mount Shasta who get addicted to meditating and they want for nothing because they're not grounded in their process. They're not pulling it in and taking it and making practical real world applications around it. And so there's a couple things I want to talk about with you. Was the integration in these experiences?
Mm.
I kind of already know the answer to this. I'm just gonna I'm gonna let everyone in on the fact that Jessica and I were connected to a specific to many medicine groups. We have many different teachers. You know, you've got teachers out in Costa Rica and Peru and New Mexico. You've got people all over, but we are from Kentucky, and so you and I were involved in a specific medicine group. And so I know some of the answers to these questions, but I want you to also speak to it. Were you offered, was integration included in your
Mm.
medicine experiences, like
So,
post-retreat
sure.
integration?
Typically not. So typically in those
That's why I
experiences,
wanted to start
and
here.
well, this is great because some of mine don't automatically include a one-on-one integration. Okay. It is a choice. In mine, most of the times there was never an integration offered, and also it wasn't even suggested or really talked
Right.
about.
And I had the same experience as you did
Yeah,
because we were working with the same people where I was uneducated about psychedelic integration, nor did
totally.
I really see a benefit to it because when I did book the sessions with them, they were 30 minutes and they seemed to just listen to me the whole time and that's all it was. There was no feedback, there was no going into a hypnosis, there was no healing work, there wasn't any psychic insights. It was just listening to me, and I felt like in this modern day I could just use Chat GPT or my journal if I just want to be listened to.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes that's just sharing the experience is part of the integration that's needed
Yeah,
because you go through this really magical experience. Mind you, everybody's is different. Some it's bright and magical, some it's deep and shadowy, and that's okay too. It's not a bad trip. One, it's not a trip, it's a medicine journey, but it's
totally.
also a shadow part that the medicines need you to look at to unblock your
Yeah.
system,
Mhm.
to unleash, to help you heal. And so it wasn't really talked about like, hey, make sure you wait this long before your next journey. Um,
Yeah,
do have an integration person. I was lucky enough to be close with the teacher that I worked with, and
right.
also being too close to your teacher. If you all are friends, then you need a different integration person.
Agreed.
You need somebody that is outside of your circle to listen and help you process. Insight is great. You might actually talk the whole time and be like, I was seeing unicorns, I was seeing
Yeah.
eyes, I
Yeah.
saw this memory, and you might just need to get it out. And actually, while you're saying it,
The
typically
insights
what
come
I
through.
know Chris and I could find this, we're like, there's my insight. Got
Right.
it. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
So the talking about it sometimes opens it up for you
But
because
see, that's
it's
how I
rotating
feel
in
with
your
you.
head.
When I
Yeah.
integrate with you,
Yes. Yes.
I can talk quite
Thank
a bit of the time, but you are not silent the whole time. That's not helpful to
you.
me. But also, the insights came through. I felt like I was wasting their time. Do you understand
Ah,
that? They were bored.
sure,
Okay, so just
sure,
the level of care was not there.
sure.
Nor did they, it was just like, yeah, if you want to pay me some money to do that, let's do it. That's how it felt.
Yeah. It was
Okay.
almost like wanting to be in just the medicine experience.
Because that's all it was for them. And that's why they encouraged you to do it so often. And the other thing I want to talk about is, when we worked with that medicine group and worked in those types of environments, we were not working with just plant medicine. And I do want
Yeah.
to touch on that because that also changes um, like the integration experience, but also MDMA is a beautiful medicine, especially when it's pure and it's not cheaply made and it is made with intention. A beautiful medicine, but you shouldn't use that more than 2 or 3 times a year, let alone every month or every 2 months. And it is addictive,
Mm,
unlike psilocybin and wachuma and ayahuasca and cacao and
mm,
anti-lotus. So I want you to touch a little bit on that. Do you feel, because I had clients or people around me that I felt were addicted and I didn't understand what was going on
mm,
because we were told that it
mm.
was plant medicine. We were given things and told it was plant medicine, and then my intuition, and we talked about it a lot, told me this is not plant medicine. I even tricked one of the facilitators into telling me. I said, um, what type of MDMA is this? And he said, how do you know that? And I said, I didn't, but you just told me. And I was
Yeah.
like, why are they hiding this? MDMA is a great medicine. I also didn't know all those years ago that it caused oxidative stress to the brain, that it could be addictive. And so now I understand why they give it to everybody because it keeps you coming. And it also turns you into a kind of blissed out zombie, which is there's beauty in the MDMA experience, but the therapist does need to poke and prod during the MDMA experience. Like,
Mm.
talk to me. Where the medicine spirit does that in the psilocybin experience, in the ayahuasca experience, your higher self comes in more. So, do you feel that there
Mm.
was even like the fact that you were working with certain medicines like that over and over, that there could have even been a slight addiction that you didn't know about? Not the same way as like a heroin or methamphetamine, but kind of, I'm addicted to this blissed out state
Mm. That I can understand. Well, I want to go back first and just
because
talk
I
about.
felt it for me too.
Sure. And I want to come to that. I also want to touch base on just what we were talking about with integration. When you sign up for a medicine experience, not all of your people are going to offer an integration. It is self-responsibility. One, it is the teacher's responsibility to say, you need to integrate. Your teacher that is holding your medicine circle, maybe they actually don't offer integration. There should be some recommendations. These are a few people that you can talk to for integration. And you need to take the self-responsibility. If you are taking the initiative to go on a medicine journey, you need to then be responsible to integrate it. And your teacher should tell you that.
Yeah,
And so that is a big piece because some of mine don't offer integration. However, it is talked about, it is offered. Here is your opportunity, and it is often dismissed. I think that we need to stress too that in these medicine journeys, the information coming through is not all literal.
right,
It's not, it is spoken in symbolism, and
yeah,
it might show you something that seems very literal, and you have to digest it in your system, and you're not sure how because you're stuck on the literal part of it
right,
when really it's symbolic. So processing it out loud helps your facilitator, your integration coach, helps you to digest it, sit with it longer, really understand it. These processes are big. I have so many that are like, I don't even know what to do with this information. So I just want to say that it is normal for some and also important that your facilitator knows when your last journey was and talks about integration.
yeah. It's also
Awesome.
important that we know what we're being given too.
And that's what I want to talk about next. The medicine group that we worked with served a great purpose in my life. I'm so grateful that I was guided to that path, to that group to learn,
Me too.
because I learned so much there in such beautiful ways. I learned how to be better in relationship. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about space holding, and I learned a lot of don'ts also, right?
That
So,
was what I was just thinking. I learned a lot of what I shouldn't be doing too, which is medicine.
amen. And that all okay, because that was the path, that's where I was guided. When I would ask what was in the medicine or what it was, I was told to, I'll tell you in the tomorrow. So you actually were not told what you were taking. That feels like a big no for myself. I did not know better.
Right.
I didn't know better. However, without telling people that you're taking MDMA and is a mixture, a blend of plant and MDMA or MDA or other
Yeah.
substances.
Other substances. Yeah.
We all check medical history. And because we want to be sure that your system can handle the medicine. So it's important to be very upfront and honest so that we can guide you best, so that we can choose a medicine and tell you what that medicine is. This is my plan for you. How does that feel to you, Chrys? Feeling
Right.
it in your system, and you're like, actually, that doesn't feel right. And I'll be like, okay, let me go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
But we weren't told. Learning later that that's what I was given every time. And so often, I still don't think in my system I knew like, oh, you shouldn't have this amount because
Yeah,
we're finding that people are partying on it so often, right? So it's like no big deal, but that's really what it became. It was a big and not it was always, well, for me, I never had any boundaries crossed. Others
I
had.
did.
Right. I did not. So for me, when I say a big love fest, it was like the feeling of love, the feeling of bliss, the joy. I loved that. But I also loved the connection. I also loved the good snacks. I loved the community. And so
Absolutely.
it
There was
served a
lots of
great
different
purpose.
things that we used as medicine, you know, the
Then
community, the
for me, there
people.
was lack of communication. There was a lot of lack of communication in many ways for me. So I was guided down a different medicine path. And that started for me the year that all of that broke down.
Yeah,
So, on the beginning of that year, I was guided to grandmother medicine. And then midway through that year, had where kind of a fall apart of the group that I was in, and I kind of stepped away. And then I was guided to grandfather medicine. So guided away from really, mind you, MDMA, by the way, is a
totally.
wonderful healer. And also with what you said, you shouldn't have that 3 to 4 times, more than 3 to 4 times a year. Well, you shouldn't be journeying more than 3 to 4 times
You
a year.
also
Mind
shouldn't be
you,
taking that without supplementation. And I have to say that
right,
here,
right.
anyone who is offering it without supplements, not just magnesium powder, it requires a very specific set of supplements.
Yeah,
There's two different theories around it, and I use both of them mixed together. It's sort of obnoxious. They're like more capsules. I'm like, you're gonna take them, because I refuse to let my clients leave with any oxidative stress to the brain. If the other medicines aren't causing any oxidation, then if we're using this, I'm going to make sure that you leave even better and that you don't have a hangover. When we would have retreats together those all those years ago, I would feel like shit the next day. I felt like I got hit by a truck. I had people around me who were going into serotonin syndrome, where they had severe migraines and
mm,
body aches, and we were told that was just normal. Oh, you released so much that it's hard on the body. When actually we had a slight overdose of MDMA slash MDA slash 5-MPT, whatever the hell else kind of analogs of dance drugs that in combinations. And they would call them by different plant names and give them to us and say, this is this plant, this is this plant, this is this plant. And it not only is that lying and not in integrity, but also there are people who don't want to work with certain medicines like that. Like I have a client at a couple retreats ago who was an alcoholic for many years and is in recovery. So I did not give them any of those clinical medicines, as I call
right.
them. Because they can trigger an addictive response
Yeah,
if taken too many times, and I just felt that was out of integrity, and she didn't ask me for that. But I've also had clients say, I don't want to work with that medicine,
yeah.
and I do not. I That's why we have multiple medicines in our profile.
Absolutely. And I do know people that have even said, I don't want to work with this medicine, and we're given it anyway.
Yes.
That's really dangerous. The other thing is people who are tested for work, you're given this medicine, you have no idea what's
I
in
have
it.
clients who were tested and tested positive. I even had a
Yeah.
client, not I had someone
And
at
not
one of those
knowing.
retreats who had to have her stomach pumped.
Oh, so
Yes,
rough.
yeah, and because I brought that person into the experience, one of our teachers, I said to them, "Hey, someone's in the hospital right now. They want to know what they were given, and I was told take care of it." And I thought, I didn't give anyone this medicine. What do you mean take care of it? It was just dismissed like make this go away. And also it was like not a big deal because this happens sometimes.
Mm,
And I thought, someone going to get their stomach pumped? So there were many times where I felt like, what am I doing? What am I bringing people into? What did I do? And then I realized it was all part of the journey. And Spirit has been very clear with me several times that you and I both, but that we needed to see how it was done out of integrity
Mm,
or at a certain density level, even. Maybe that's integral for the state of consciousness that they're all in. I have theories around that there could be reptilian influences in that medicine because that medicine group is all over the place. They've got branches or groups spread out in many different locations. There's a location out in Utah where
mm,
they specifically have 50 to 100 people parties because it
mm,
makes the medicine group a lot of money. You pay a certain amount, you come in, and they're just parties. There's no healing, there's no ceremony, there's no drum, there's no integration. It is a
mm,
party. It's for and there have been people that have come out of the woodworks that have connected with me, talking about how their friend went into medicine with them, and while they were overdosed on MDMA and MDA, um, that they signed the deed to their house
mm.
away to the facilitator. I
Wow.
have been inappropriately touched and sexually advanced on, if that's how you would say that, during an MDMA experience with that group. One of my very first time with the entire group, not just the small groups we would do. When we went to the big group, I alchemized it and I used it as medicine. And I know that sounds crazy, but I was dealing with body shame issues that were coming up during the experience. So the facilitator
Mm,
during, I thought it was part of it. And also, I was so blissed out. I have worked with MDMA several times that we work with now that comes from maps. And
mhm.
I never, ever, my eyes don't dart around. And I mean, I was like having a seizure and it was normal. That was what was supposed to be happening. That's serotonin syndrome. It's okay to shake. We shake during the experience. There's that could happen as trauma's releasing, all of that. This was violent. I don't know if it happened to you that way, but for me, I would knock back and forth like this. And so I
Mm.
could barely even make eye contact with him when he was laying next to me, touching on me, kissing on my neck, licking, things like that. And I didn't get it because I felt desired, and that's a big thing for me, is that I don't feel desired and I don't feel it, or I didn't feel attractive. And that was the night that I was in the bathroom and I saw myself as attractive for the first time in my whole life in the mirror. And then I opened the door and walked out, and you were walking down the hallway and you go, "Oh my goodness." And I said, "What?" And you were like, "You look so masculine and sexy right now." And I was like, "How the hell?" That and that was years ago, okay?
I
That told
remember.
me right then that I don't
Yeah.
give a fuck what he just did to me. Okay? It wasn't appropriate and I would not have let it gone any farther than that, okay? But whatever just happened just changed my fucking life. And then I got instant validation from my friend who happened to be walking right down the hallway. You were the only person I knew there. And you said that to me, and it was like spirit speaking through you, like you're
Mm,
not making this up. So I
mm,
just want everyone to hear that there is a dark side, but also even
mm,
that those dark experiences, if you're a high level
mm.
light worker, mystic, shaman, alchemist, you can alchemize all of that to your advantage. And the medicine still worked, even though it was too much medicine and it was too many boundaries being crossed. I still got healed. So I am grateful.
Yeah, it's in there are so many things along our path that are just fucked up. It's like, damn,
Yeah.
why did I go through that? Or why did that happen? And at this point, and for the past few years even, it's like, all this happened for a reason to get me here. I
Totally.
trust that my life path, what I've been through from the time before I was born to this time, that everything that happened happened so that I could be this person, this medicine woman, this auntie, this hygienist, this healer, this friend, this
Yeah.
partner, like wherever I show up as a partner, like that it has brought me to be this. So I trust that I went through this group to learn, and I know it served me such a great purpose. And also, these things happen
Yeah. They're
in
happening
so
all
many
over the world.
all over the world, and
Jessica,
you
do you
do
ever have
want to
clients who are
really,
nervous about your retreats because of things like this? Because
yeah,
I do.
especially if it's a co-ed. It's a
Yes,
thing.
especially if it's
Like I don't
co-ed.
know if I
Yeah.
can trust for many women, the majority of women, and I know men have been through also sexual assaults, but many
It's
women in
different.
some way have had words, groping, uh, sexual assaults in many some form or fashion from a young age to now.
Yeah.
And so going into a group where it's co-ed and there are men, that's scary. So Chris and I know, and I know many others that hold such a safe, sacred space with intention of talking about these things and bringing it up and making it known up front, the boundary, the integrity, the what we expect in this journey, that this is a safe space for all because there are so many spaces, and I've not just a certain group but many others that they have had certain things happen that were inappropriate.
Yes.
And you are going into a space, mind you, with many of these medicines, you are able to communicate, go to the bathroom, get where you need to be. We're
Right.
there to hold you, like, hold your hand and get you to the bathroom if that's what you need.
Right.
And having a facilitator that you, in your intuition, trust is important. If you don't trust the people in your group, then it is a no in your system.
Yeah.
If you're like, well, I don't trust it, but I really want to do it, it is a no. It is a no. If you want to do it and you're like, oh, I really like this facilitator, I connect with them, I vibe with them, then be a yes. But gosh, if you're not vibing with me and you're like, she's a little much for me, then I welcome your no. Chris and I love a good no. I mean,
I
we
love
prefer
it now.
yes, but I know I was like, we prefer yes, but really a good no. And I talk about this in every one of my cacao ceremonies. If you're a no, oh, tell me. I want to hear your no. I want to, as a facilitator, know your boundary. And I
Absolutely.
want you, as one of the people sitting in my circles, be able to then take your boundary and speak it in all areas of your life. That's what is so important and necessary. And so trusting someone bringing you into the circle is one thing. Yes. And also then feeling connected with the facilitator that you're with. So, so important. You may not know them, and that's okay. It's just important that you've researched, that you've talked to your facilitator, that you've met them, that you feel connected, and also listening to if it's time for the medicine, because sometimes you're a yes, and then it may shift to where maybe you're not ready for the medicine.
Yeah.
Sometimes fears can come up because actually you're scared. You're scared because this big awakening is going to happen. These retreats change your life. They
Absolutely.
shift your energy. But also there's the, oh, maybe not yet. I
Yeah.
feel overwhelmed with other parts of my life that I want to have under control. Also, the feeling of stuck. The feeling of stuck is usually the medicine's going to help you move through that.
Yeah.
So you really have to be ready to be in tune with yourself, ready to look at yourself, ready to look at your history, ready to open up to a new possibility of your future as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, there's just been so many different avenues that this, you know, I remember a shamanic practitioner that we've both worked with in the past said to me one time, you are a shaman, you have those codes, and I just want you to know that the shamanic path is never ending. It will never let you go. You will never stop seeing aspects of yourself.
Mm.
You will never stop being confronted with mirror versions of yourself that allow you to level up. There are so many, like for in my experience, as much happened to me and as many dark things happened to me, I also had several clients accuse me of being a cult leader, accuse me of putting um, strange, crazy substances into their
Mm-hmm.
medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Just it was so Twilight Zone that Spirit has
Mm-hmm.
shown me that it was almost wasn't just for my benefit, but it was a perfect match to my own insecurities and to get me to become an even better facilitator. Like being accused of putting cocaine in someone's medicine. Like I've never even been around cocaine. I've never even seen it in person. Um, just the bizarre. I had a client who came to 4 retreats and had 10 private sessions with me, and then decided to tell me that that I'm not safe because I made sexual advances on her and sexually traumatized her and touched her inappropriately.
Mm.
First of all, I'm gay as hell.
Mm.
Okay. And I'm like, let's just be a human for a moment. Like, are you kidding me? Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers to that. And second of all, I would never,
Yeah.
even the males who come into my space who have been attractive males, I can just turn it off. I'm in total mommy tree mode. And we were working. She did this because she heard about ayahuasca shamans that molest people and take advantage and um, R word people while they're on the medicine, because when you are working with some of these medicines and you detach from your physical body, dark energies can come into your body. There are people who use plant medicines like ayahuasca to detach you through the DMT experience and implant demonic or archontic or dark energies into the body to create attachments and programs and addictions. Why they would do that, I don't know. Why the Illumin Ah T, why they would do the things that they're doing and the rituals that are happening, I have no idea. I can't conceptualize other than just the inversions that are happening, and it's going to show up in the medicine world as well. And I think she heard about those things and she
Yeah.
wanted to use that against me for some reason. So I'm letting everyone know, because I did ask her, may I put my hand on your back? Do I have permission to touch your physical body? I said all of that. Um, but and also the words that she said I used, the things that I said, like you told me that we can take things to a more sexual level tonight. I said if sexual energies arise, we welcome it, but we'll transmute it and use it in different ways. We say that at the beginning of all of our ceremonies, okay? These words were twisted on me, but I looked at that as medicine too, kind of like, hey, you can be the best facilitator in the world. And if the person is wanting to see you as the bad guy or wanting to villainize you in some way, they will. Because what it did for me, anytime something like that happened, I went and sat. My camera's going to go off, by the way, but I am still here. Talk about the dark side of the plant medicine world. My camera's overheating because this conversation's getting heated up. So,
Right on.
so and I really love talking about this with you because you understand how this can happen, how we come into the medicine experience wanting to do our work, wanting to do it well, wanting to do the thing that we were taught how to do all this time. And we feel so
Yeah.
in our power and so in our heart and so in our mission when we're doing it, that even darker forces, archontic forces, can get inside of people and turn them against you and turn them against themselves too. It wasn't like she was all healed up and now she can see the darkness that is me. I saw clearly what was happening, but I went and sat for weeks with what can I do differently? How can I approach this better? It sharpened me and made me more clear around being a more ethical facilitator. And I did not like that when I realized what was happening with that group back in the day. You and I had very specific experiences of psychic attack and also real things that were happening. My name was put all over that
Mhm.
group, put my name all over the internet saying I was cooking up drugs in my kitchen. It was so
Mhm.
insane and beneath us, okay?
Yeah.
And so real things happened and I judged them. I witch hunted them. I felt like I need to stop them. And so because I didn't stand in my integrity and just be different and I decided to judge and criticize, it came back to me
Mm.
through those people. And I bet you some of them would look back and be like, damn, I wish I had not called him that. Or where did that come from? Because he gave me no inclination. uh, like
Mhm.
the client one time who wouldn't use hand soap at the retreat because she was worried what I put in it. And I said, honey, I wouldn't waste my precious medicine in putting it in the hand soap. I can definitely tell you that. But where did that come from? it could have been a reflection of the things I was worrying about at one time, or the lack of safety I felt. And so I looked at it as a mirror, because that's what it is. And so this medicine world, even for the ones who step into it, shamans, medicine alchemists, healers, we are
Yeah.
not immune to it.
Well, so many things are coming through about this right now. So I want to talk about two, like one, we're all freaking human.
Thank
So
you.
if you are walking into a spiritual circle and you put your teacher on a pedestal, don't. And not because they aren't going to teach you something, but I tell all my people, look, I'm human. I have human emotions.
Yeah.
I cry, I get mad, I get extremely happy, I get excited, I
Yeah.
get my heart flutters. Like I have these human emotions. Please don't put me on a pedestal. And also, I would be honored to guide you through your healing and your
Absolutely.
awakening and releasing trauma and coming back home to yourself. And also, that's the path that we're walking, is to constantly be in a self-awareness is what we're talking about. Like we're self-aware, so of course we will continue to see mirrors of ourselves because we are on a spiritual journey and that is never ending.
Yeah.
It is all, it's like, okay, I went through that process and here comes another. And there's joy in between, there's coming back home to yourself even more and more and more, but also the reality of life and emotions. There's also the energy that you put into the medicine. There's the energy that you put into anything. So if I am making my cacao and I'm mad while I'm
Oh,
making
honey,
the
that just
energy going
clicked
in.
something right into place for me. I'm sorry to
Okay.
interrupt, but I can
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
you during
yeah.
those experiences, I was worried. These experiences happened around the time that we broke away from that medicine group. And
Yeah.
also, they are a cult, or have cult-like energies, and there's a cult leader. So it's interesting, I would be called that. You know what
Mm,
I mean? So I
yeah,
think that showed up in my medicine, because I even worried about it. I tried to overcompensate
sure.
so that they didn't think that, and then they were saying it. I remember
Yeah.
thinking, what Twilight Zone episode am I in? You know, that these people are accusing me of such things that I have gone out of my way to be the opposite of, because law of attraction, I'm putting the energy into it. I'm trying to be something instead of just being in my integrity. Like I didn't even look at it that way until now.
It's wild. I went, as you talked about, we both went through these traumatic experiences, and to have people say non-truths it really sucks. I did a
Yeah.
little bit of the opposite of what you did. I backed away because actually I, that group served me a great purpose
Yeah.
and I have a lot of gratitude there. But I actually was like, I have nothing bad I want to say because actually from here, I'm putting out what I want to get back.
Yeah.
And I knew, and we talked about this, I knew that I wasn't putting ill intent out,
Right.
that I was disconnecting, that I was sending the energies to the earth, sending them back. And I was devastated, embarrassed, shocked,
Yeah.
depressed about, and just every day getting up out of bed like I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do one more day because it was so devastating. And I was just surprised that people actually would lie. And
Yeah.
also, I wasn't going to take away their experience because this person's experience was her experience. It wasn't true on my end. And in my sober self leading this
Yes.
retreat,
Right.
that's not actually what happened.
That's right.
Okay.
And also, is
And
it their truth if it's a lie? If they
I'm
know they're
saying,
lying? Because
and,
sometimes they
and
are flat out lies. I'm just saying.
well, and
That's
that's
where it
where I
gets
come to
archontic
like,
and weird and false matrixy for me.
we're all human, right? So that's their human part of being dishonest, of finding a way to get at people.
Right.
I'm just not, I don't need to get at you. I'm gonna take care of myself. And if that's the way that things roll for you, that's just gonna smack you back. And I
Yeah.
trust spirit on that. Like I'm over here, disconnect, do my thing, stand in my integrity, do my healing. And I looked at myself and I evaluated myself and I looked at the things that they said and that I heard and that I was experiencing. And I knew I've been in my integrity.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not true. This is not real, but I easily. took it on and was like, oh
Me
my
too.
gosh, is this real?
Well, but
And
also that
then
says
six
something
months
about us in
later,
a good way. That we would
yes,
even consider, like, was there a blind spot? Did I do something?
totally.
Like, how can I improve?
I do that I just did it yesterday. I was like, okay, let me look at this situation. Okay, let me go back and let me evaluate this because I would have done this differently.
That's right.
As humans, please, please be willing to look at yourself. Please be willing to try things differently because we can always do better. If it, and also if it was right and in your integrity, amen, right? And so I really took time to welcome back. I'm so glad to see your face. But it really took time to look at those things. I also was shocked when 6 months it came back around. And I was like, what the hell is happening? And then 6 months later, it happened again. And it was part of those people needing to flow out of my life so that I could go on a different path.
Yeah. And
And I know that now, but going through it was hell.
yeah.
And that's the thing is, things are going to get triggered in these spaces. And that's why for me, and I know for you, that the holding of such sacred space, that having enough people to hold the space for your group, having multiple facilitators, if it's over so many people, whatever that is for you, is important. Also, because I've been in retreats where it's been me and a co-facilitator, and actually my energy was triggering for someone.
Yeah.
So I had to let the other facilitator step in because hers was more nurturing
Yeah.
and more feminine than my lead with my masculine.
Yeah.
So it's really so important to look at all of these avenues. We've learned a lot. And also let me come back to the energy we put into the medicine and the nature of the medicine and the plant, like down to the plant being grown. When we talk about cacao and how it's grown on the cacao farm and the energy of planting it, of grafting it to the older trees,
Yeah.
of harvesting it, of fermenting it, of putting the energy into making it, this coming from a farm that has loved this medicine is important because when it comes to us, it's been intention set the entire way that it's been made into this paste that then Chrys and I come and we sing to and
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
dance with and we're blessing as we make it for you. The intention going in is important. So when we're taking these medicines and putting them in a blender and mixing them up, mind you, there's a great we are so fortunate to have this blend of science and plant. And also knowing what you're taking is important.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like we've really stepped into, had to learn things the hard way because we were guided and then things were kept from us, things were gate kept from us. Get in line, you have to do it this way, or there's a hierarchy in these medicine worlds and things like that.
Well,
Humans are humans, and
and then cast out. There was a casting out. Like that's just
absolutely,
coming through right now and then like
which is
cast
what
out.
cults do.
Oh, oh, okay.
That's ca if you don't fit the mold, you have to leave. Okay? We don't really operate that way. And so there's just a different frequency that we operate within. And you were also going through your Uranus opposition at the same time all of
Lord,
this was
remember,
happening.
I remember being like, I'm about done with this.
And
I'm
I was going
done.
through
And you were
Pluto
like,
opposite
girl, you
Chiron.
got 6 months to go. I was like, fuck that.
But Jessica, you don't have to claim that. That's an inside
I was
joke.
like, fine, fine.
So, we talked
Whoa.
about a lot of the dense, a lot, as
Yeah.
shamanic facilitators, people in the world think that shamans should be, men smoking mapacho out in the middle of the jungle who are so
And they
wise.
are.
And
And they
there
are.
are,
And
yes.
women too.
And women too, and two spirits all over the place, and there's all kinds of different ways that the healer, the oracle, the priestess, the shamanic archetype can show up. And definitely I believe that on this planet we are incarnating, and the shamanic archetype is incarnating quite a bit. So even though we may have grown up in Louisville, Kentucky, in urban environments, and you know our jungle was the streets of Okolona, baby. And we were raised like
Downtown
that.
Louisville,
Absolutely, honey.
catching the tark. Oh
Totally.
my
We were
gosh.
initiated, but
Yeah, we were initiated.
I want to get into, the fact that there are many ways that it can show up now, and we don't have time to go out to the jungle for 30 years, and we're not saying that we're better or just as good. It's different, okay? It's a different energy, and we're letting spirit lead. We're letting the medicine call us. But
Hmm.
would you say that your experience with that group and everything you've been through was sort of a shamanic initiation for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I was initiated in so many ways, not just along my healing of learning more about myself and what I've been through in my life and where I've held onto it in my body, but also through the initiations of falling like deep in love with my relationships in that group, it was
Yeah,
so, and then going through the casting out,
yeah,
I was really confused, that was absolutely an initiation. Going through the process of the whole disconnect from a few groups was very traumatizing for me, and
yeah,
the initiation of like really coming home to myself, standing even stronger in my power, in my truth, and knowing myself. The as much as I looked at myself every day, and I do look at myself every day. Oh, that went well. Oh, we could do that one differently, cha-cha. But like really like deeply looking in my guts of like, what is this? It allowed me to really understand that I stand in my integrity, in my truth, and it is important to me that I have a safe space, but that I hold a safe space.
yeah, yeah. And we're very empathic, and I think we took on certain projections of other people, and during our process, we in the shamanic process, especially in America or the modern person, we have a lot of imposter syndrome around it. Do I need to go sit with a teacher for 10 years in Bali or in Peru to claim this archetype and to hold this retreat? We were
Yeah,
shamed for stepping out on
yeah,
our own. There were
right.
many different programs that we embodied as empaths that weren't true for us, but also I could see where they were coming from, or I see why why you value that someone has done this for 20 years and doesn't charge for it or whatever people had to say. And I feel like we took some of that on. And what I'm getting psychically is that you there was some past life stuff going on for you around being cast out from these groups, but there was also a shamanic initiation around, will you listen to the medicine and spirit only by God? You are coming
Mm,
into these experiences giving your power away still, and while there's humility that settles in for us, and we need that in our process, there's also the power that you were needing to be asked to step into. So I feel like it was calling you to not be in groups where your power wouldn't be able to shine or where you were going to be considered too big or whatever they've said about us, and that there was medicine even in that. Um, Before I ask my next question, do you have anything to say about that?
you know, well, what's coming through my mind, I guess you could feel my energy coming through, is like these are our experiences. I just want to share that with everybody. Like, these are the experiences that we've had. We want to honor the experiences you've had because
Yeah.
you could be with a group that works in similar ways and actually you love it. I
Yes.
want you to trust your intuition. And that's what's coming through at the moment as I
Yeah.
feel that in my heart that we're not actually trying to talk bad about one group or another. We're sharing the experiences we've had, the shadow side of things or the dark side of things, so that you can evaluate your own journey,
Yeah.
what's best for you.
Yeah. Now let's talk about um, the beauty of this work and the medicine work,
Please.
I'd love to hear all the different ways in which it has helped you. And also, as we go into that, what are some of your favorite medicines that you hold?
Mm, okay, let's see. This is fun. Okay. So one, these medicines have changed my life. I do. So Chris and I are both just pulling up some grandfather medicine. Um, this sacred grandfather medicine, Wachuma, is one of my first loves. It's so heart opening, brings you into your body, brings you very present, present on the earth, very stable, very open, and also very aware. So it allows you to be grounded on the earth in your body and also opens your awareness to things that need to be shifted in your mind,
Yeah.
in your body, in your soul. And so that's one of my favorites to work with that I hold.
Me too. And a lot of my clients are confused by it because it can be so subtle. And sometimes he will choose, like grandmother, he will just choose to sort of leave you alone this time. And they'll go, I don't really feel anything, or they're really feeling it. And it's like, it's so
Yeah.
intelligent. The grandfather, grandmother experience, I've got them both here on my
Oh,
necklace.
beautiful.
Um, they sort of can pick and choose. If there's a group of 10, grandmother might only work with 4 of you that night, and the other 6 of you, your shit will move through those 4. It will come out when they
Sure.
purge. Like, it's so
Yeah,
intelligent that way. Grandfather,
yeah,
for me, it is a multi-dimensional, multi-sensory. It is not some laying on the ground and just being present with the earth. It is at first, but grandfather for me is past lives and codes and things locking in. I mean, it is just as multi-dimensional as grandmother
sure.
ayahuasca. Yet I feel like if you needed me to stand up and like touch my nose and walk in a straight line, I could choose to do that. It's so interesting
Yeah.
how he works and how grounded he is.
Yeah, I find that he's very subtle in the beginning.
In the beginning.
And I even say that I feel like with grandfather, it's one that you navigate a little bit more, whereas
Yes.
grandmother and psilocybin navigate you.
You mean grandmother?
Grandmother, yes,
Yes. Yeah.
grandmother and psilocybin navigate
Where you
you.
sort of have to
Grandfather.
surrender to it.
Yes. And you do need to surrender to grandfather too. There can be a real
But would you
resistance that you do.
would you say
Yeah.
that the surrender is that you're waiting for something to happen when actually he's in his
Yeah.
rocking chair and his pipe saying, you have
Yeah.
to surrender to you're the one in charge here, and that you're not going to lock in this masculine code if you don't know how to journey yourself.
Sure. And also, that's why we're there, by the way. That's why Chrys and I are there, is to, when you're like, I don't know what to do or nothing's happening, that we can guide you into a
That's right.
process,
That's right.
because this is one that you do need to like sit and connect with. Obviously, the more medicine you take, it eventually will sit you down to navigate you. But I
Yes.
still find that I really find that we navigate it. And then once we choose to connect with it, then you can sink into the meditation. But
That's right.
also, it's one that's actually loves to connect us in community,
Yes.
loves
Eating,
us to be in
food,
community,
dance,
eat,
sunlight.
dance. Exactly what I was going to say. So thank you. All of those things, that is important. And also finding space to yourself. I found for me, I needed space to myself. I didn't want to be in community at some points.
That's
I
right.
needed that solo time. I've seen others that work with this need to be in community and need to be on their own. And I'd say that with a lot of the medicines that you do, sometimes want to be on your own. Some are designed to be on your own,
Right.
whether you're in a community group or not.
Right.
And then in some, it's kind of a blend of both. And so this one allows you to have that blend of both. I also love that this is a sun medicine, a daytime medicine that you can start early, go to late. I love that you can eat with it.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
lot of the others, you're fasting.
That's right.
So I find this to be a very gentle yet very, very powerful medicine. Now, I also just want to say that I love working with hape.
Hmm.
Some call it hape or rape.
Yeah.
Like, I love this sacred tobacco.
Uh-huh.
It is one of my favorite medicines. Like, and it's a non-psychedelic.
Right.
It's one that I administer in ceremony with clients. In my cacao ceremonies, I'll administer it. And it is a beautiful tobacco snuff that's made with not only mapacho, but
Right.
also tree ash and other herbs.
Yeah.
Sometimes even the aya is put into some of the hape, and it's not like an ayahuasca ceremony, it's just
Right.
some
Her
of the
spirit
plant.
is there.
Right. Our spirit is there because all plant medicines really are a spirit.
Yeah.
we haven't touched on today, but I know we did in our last video,
Yes,
but
yes,
when we talk about Wachuma, it's a grandfather spirit. We talk about ayahuasca, it's a grandmother spirit. So you're connecting with the spirit, but this grandfather tobacco spirit that is administered through the nose and you sit with it in meditation, it's powerful.
yeah,
It can be a purgative. It is helpful at clearing the respiratory system, clearing the pineal gland, of opening up our hearts, but also opening up our awareness, as well as really grounding us. So
yeah,
I love mapacho and hape as well.
yeah. What would you say to people who are wanting to try or wanting to get into plant medicine work, wanting to use it at home? Um, what medicines would you recommend for them?
If you are wanting to work with plant medicine on your own at home, I would recommend that you work with ceremonial cacao. Ceremonial cacao is a non-psychedelic, powerful, mothering plant medicine that opens your heart. When we open our hearts, we are opening our connection to our soul and the bridge between the physical chakras and the spiritual chakras. So we are opening up and aligning our chakra system even more. It also allows us this time to connect with this mama cacao energy,
Yeah,
this beautiful mother that just wants to hold you. And
yes,
it allows you to really connect deep within.
yeah.
I even have on my website, Chrys and I both hold cacao ceremonies, but I even have on my website a cacao ritual guide that you can download. It's free to
Oh,
learn
awesome.
about cacao and how to make it on your own and bring it into ritual.
Yeah,
You can use cacao in a daily ritual, maybe weekly, maybe monthly. It really is up to you, but it is a beautiful medicine. You want to buy ceremonial cacao for your ritual. You can buy cacao and put it in your smoothie. It's got a lot of nutrients, a lot of iron, a lot of magnesium, antioxidants that are really healing for the body. But also, when you connect with that energy, you're allowing yourself a deep ritual of self-connection and opening up to spirit, whatever that means for you, spirit, universe,
yeah,
all the different goddess, all the different
yeah.
names we could call it. But that's where I would start. And if you're wanting to start with psychedelics, then I would recommend that you talk to me or Chrys, to a facilitator that you've gotten to know, to other people around you, maybe that have tried it, have had good experiences, that you aren't just jumping into a psychedelic on your own because it's different. When you are like, I'm going to take this psychedelic and you go play, that's different.
That's different.
Even if you're like, well, I did my own ceremony. Yes, but did you have someone that held space, that kept you safe, that moved the energy around you? Because there's
Right.
a lot of energy releasing. So in the shamanic sense, we're releasing all of helping you. We're just the guide. We
Yeah,
are the energy worker. You're doing the work. The medicine's doing the work. We're there to support. And so we're going to help move the energy around you.
yeah.
So asking around to find the right space to be to try that in ceremony. Because in ceremony, when you go to a retreat, when you go to a circle, you are setting intention. The space has been set for you. It's cleared, it's set in a vibration for the highest and best good. You are then asked about your intention. When you set your intention with the medicine, you are then really talking to the medicine saying, hey, this is what I'd like. I'd like to connect deeper within. I'd like to open my intuition. I'd like to know more about my path. There could be so many different intentions that you have, but when you do that, you're already connecting to the spirit of the medicine, and the medicine starts to work with you. And that intentional space is way different than just trying a psychedelic at home because you want an experience. I'm
I
not
know firsthand.
saying anybody, I mean, I grew up in my late senior year of high school on, also working with medicines, but not in a healthy way.
Yeah,
I didn't know better. But
right,
I know this is so different than what I did playing with LSD and
right.
different medicines. And even now, because cannabis is one of my favorites. And actually, I've looked at this over and over and over a million zillion times. Is like, oh, maybe I shouldn't use. Actually, no, it's a beautiful medicine with intention.
That's right.
And it is like one of the best ones to actually open for me. I fully believe it's a helpful medicine, but not if we're just mindlessly ingesting this medicine.
Yeah.
It's like a, I love you. Allow me to be in this deep meditation
Yeah.
and allow me to open. So it's with any plant medicine, the intention you put in matters. And if you're not sitting with psychedelics yet and want to, find someone you trust, invest in the experience.
Yeah.
And Chrys and I, even if it's not, if you're like, I really like you, Chrys, but actually I need somebody else, he could probably refer you to a couple people.
That's
And
right.
also, we want you to be with somebody that's safe.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing all of this and for, being vulnerable and letting us, you know, letting us in, and you all listening, thank you for holding space for us. And as we let you into our behind the scenes process, don't look at the man behind the curtain. We're perfect shamans who are all healed.
I
Not true. We are human
know,
as well, and
human.
shamanic archetypes are usually the most human
Mhm.
out of all of
Yeah.
those. We're gatekeepers between the darkness and the light, and live
Oh.
between realms, and have really embodied many shamans I
Mhm.
know. The one I worked with in Kentucky, the guy at the Native American church down in Hopkinsville or something like
Mhm.
that. He has his own documentary. He was in prison for 20 years. There's many, and ayahuasca called him to hold the medicine. So
Yeah,
there are many ways the shamanic path can reveal itself, and many ways the shamanic initiations can occur. Jessica, tell us, what you offer, where we can find you, and how they can work with you.
sure. So I offer a weekly breathwork here in Louisville, Kentucky on Wednesday nights. I offer a monthly cacao ceremony here in Louisville, Kentucky. And I also hold quarterly retreats. The next retreat that you'll be able to find with me, stay tuned. Sign up for that cacao ritual guide on my website, and you'll get the information first about that. That will be in September. I also hold one-on-one packages for breath work and for ceremony. So if you're looking to heal through breath work, which is a deep meditative process, I offer that sacred space for you. I also work with ceremonies. So you sit with me and we work with different plant medicines in ceremonial space with intention to walk you through your healing process as well. I hold one-on-one medicine ceremonies, half day, full day. And I love to work with you all in integration. So you can find all of this on my website, thejessicatanselle.com, and you can find these under work with me. Send me a message and I can give you more information and we can connect to make sure it's a good fit for you.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing, and for all the guidance and co-creation that you have offered and initiated with me in my process. And I just really want to give you your flowers, and thank you for stepping into your soul mission and doing this work and being brave, because um, you know everything we just shared is the reason why many are some of the reasons why many people won't step into it or are having a hard time stepping into it. What will people say? I'm too young to be a shaman. I'm too I'm not indigenous enough to some sacred land. I haven't done it long enough. I'm afraid of what will happen in these experiences. The being vilified. I mean, there's so many different avenues here, but that's what sharpens us, and that's part of the magic, because the shamanic experience is beautiful. It's colorful. It's full of rainbows and eyeballs and unicorns and magic, and it's also dark, and it can have hellish realms it takes you to. And ayahuasca has taken me to hell, and then it has taken me to heaven the very next night. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
there's a beauty in the duality that it helps you master. And plant spirit medicine has changed our lives and has changed the lives of thousands of people around me. And is these plant spirits are waiting for us. They have been here for millions of years. They existed in the 5D version of Earth. They still hold those codes. For anyone who feels like, I don't need plant medicine, I can meditate my way into healing. Yes, you can. Just like you don't need a therapist, you don't need to eat. You can stare into the sun. You can There's many things you don't actually need to be doing, but actually are here to help you accelerate your ascension process. If trauma happens that easy, why can't it heal that easy? You know, like PTSD being eradicated after 3 MDMA treatments. Like, hell
Mhm.
yes, we deserve that type of
Yeah.
quickening. Um, People who are almost dead from heroin overdoses being healed from 6 ibogaine treatments or an iboga retreat. We deserve that type of multidimensional accelerated healing that these plants have to offer. We know that the plant queendom is the biggest pharmacy for us in this world. And so, why would psychedelic plants be otherwise? So, I hope that we have shed some light on some of these dark areas of the plant medicine world and want to empower you in trusting your intuition and know that you're safe and these medicines are safe. And if you are wanting to work with them, I have videos on YouTube of medicine journeys. You don't have to work with them physically. Call them into your meditation. Make energetic contact first. And we are here to hold space for that process. Jessica, anything else you want to say before we go?
I want to say right on about connecting to the spirit of the medicine first, and your meditations that you have on your YouTube, connecting with the medicines energetically are a perfect way to connect with the medicine to know, even if that's something you want to work with. So
Yeah.
I just want to say right on, yes, you don't have to ingest them at all. You can call them into your meditation and say, Mama Cacao, is it time that I work with you? Do you
Yeah.
have any insight to me? You're connecting to that energy, and I know people that do that and love that connection through the medicine. So honored to be here in this space with you, to walk along this medicine facilitator journey with you, and to be in this life journey together. Our souls have reconnected in this life many times, and
Yeah.
I'm grateful.
I'm grateful for you as well. And thank you again for being here and your time and your energy. And thank you all so much for joining us today for Ascend the Matrix podcast. We'll see you next time.